Adam Orth might always be most famous for being the guy behind the Deal With It social media faux pas, which snowballed into him having to resign from Microsoft. The fallout from Orth's personal 140 character disaster, the loss of his job, and a wave of abuse he received from online trolls resulted in the formation of 310 Studios, and it served as inspiration for their debut game, Adrift. Adrift is a survival game set aboard a futuristic space station called the North Star 4. Or what's left of it anyway. You see, something disastrous has happened and the entire station lies in disarray. Massive sections have broken away, the life support systems have failed, debris is spiralling uncontrollably and the station's core systems are all offline. The place is basically foobarred. Adrift challenges you, the player, to guide the last remaining member of the crew to repair integral systems in order to escape the entire ordeal. In order to repair these systems, you have to traverse dangerous, zero-gravity environments in nothing more than a damaged spacesuit. It's a pretty horrible situation to be in, but it gets worse. The spacesuit is using up oxygen, the very same oxygen that is keeping you alive to move you around the station. Your survival is tied to a bar which is ever decreasing, and it's eaten away every time you propel yourself in any direction. Looking is free, but moving brings death ever closer, especially if you're a little clumsy like I was a bit earlier and managed to smash up your visor. To stave off the very real possibility of becoming a floating corpse just like your crewmates, you must find oxygen canisters and recharge stations conveniently dotted around the wreckage of the North Star 4. Adrift is generous with its sources of oxygen, a little too generous at times, which makes it rare for this mechanic to ever become as nail-bitingly tense as it could be. The only time my oxygen ever dropped low enough for me to hear the voice actress Cissy Jones start to pant and gasp was when I went a long way off the beaten track to obtain some hard-to-reach collectibles. That's not to say that Adrift isn't tense. The constant search for oxygen, scanning each new room as you enter to try and find a green oxygen box, can be really stressful. The game also gives my buttocks a good workout each time I approach an oxygen canister a little too quickly or at a weird angle, only to miss it and start to panic as I floated out into space. The continual search for oxygen while following the breadcrumb waypoint markers makes up the majority of Adrift's core, which means you are free to take in the incredible visuals that are on display here, and they really are incredible. There is a plethora of really smart level design in Adrift, which introduces retina-destroyingly beautiful vistas at a rapid pace. Opening a hatch to be greeted by a strangely appealing sight of a decimated space station atop the backdrop of a massive blue Earth is something you really have to experience firsthand. There is a lack of interactivity with the environment, however. During some sections of the game, there are droplets of water suspended in the air all around you, but you just fly through them and they remain where they are. No matter how much I waved and wafted at them, I couldn't get them to go splat like the Klingon blood in Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. Another item on my bucket list remains. Adrift often feels like you're floating around a breathtaking zero-G art gallery where you can look but you cannot touch, and it breaks a little of the immersion that it painstakingly builds up elsewhere. And for the most part, it is immersive. The movement is smooth and precise, with momentum carrying you like it would through space. Adrift gives you the opportunity to level yourself out so you don't ever feel like you're being overcome by motion sickness or dizziness. The game takes control during tight, hard-to-pass locations that become an annoyance in other games. Here, you're guided through those doors that you would otherwise faceplant. Always a good thing. The audio design is aimed at headphones, with static interrupting the deafening silences and glitchy music representing the destroyed environments you find yourself in. The hand that reaches out to grasp those oxygen canisters is proximity-based, and I could feel myself urging the hand on to grasp that lifeline at each opportunity. It's very easy to get sucked into the hopelessness of Adrift, looking out across the massive visage of Earth below as your O2 gauge empties and you feel truly isolated. The inspiration that Adam Orth's social media blunder had upon Adrift is not immediately apparent, but becomes clear when listening to the audio logs dotted around the wreckage and when reading the emails sent between the crew aboard the North Star 4. Without spoiling anything, there is a lot of symbolism here. Adrift has an opt-in, slow-burning storyline that focuses on isolation, the disobeying of orders, and inevitably, blame. It explains what happened to the North Star 4 station and its crew, as well as being a reflection of what I imagine it's like to become a social media pariah overnight. Should you delve beneath the surface of its face value, the plot can be quite impactful. And to the credit of Adam North and 310 Studios, they won't be most famous for Deal With It Gate for much longer should they continue to create quality games like Adrift. This game is full of smart and intelligent design, as well as amazing audio and staggering visuals. It's a great debut from an exciting and talented studio, and it is more than deserving of our Gold Award.